Hello, my name is Gabrielle Franklin. I am a senior at John L. Chapin High School. I will be matriculating at Rice University for a bachelor's in computer science after graduation. Today I bring you a topic central to the future of American politics and protesting, increasing political participation through social media. Most important to the cause of political participation is what such an action constitutes. According to Jenkins 16, political participation is generally understood as activities that citizens undertake to influence government. It involves four basic elements: activities or actions, ordinary citizens, politics, and influence. As of 2019, social media has been recognized as falling under the activities element of political participation. Political participation is intended to become long-term, with citizens committing to recurring behavior. However, as reported by Khan in 2012, the National Conference on Citizenship found that 55% of young adults between the ages of 18 to 29 were politically disengaged. Further, as the table displays, barely half of eligible voting age adults participate in the most popular political activity, voting. Social media brought a rise to the amount of protests such as Arab Spring, Occupy Wall Street, and Black Lives Matter movements, but not in the target long-term political participation. 59% of Facebook users press the like button as a form of interacting with current events, never follow up, as expressed in this figure. Social media increases short-term awareness and interest in politics due to being constructed to manipulate the user's attention for a brief span of time. Now, this temporary attention of people is not the only cause of declining interest in the political sphere. Even with the increase in information in the technological age, political literacy has been declining. Less of the new generation is able to respond to queries on their current representatives, recent policies, or the functions of government. According to a study in Liu, in 2019, those who use more traditional sources such as newspapers are more likely to gain and retain political involvement. Political participation is therefore driven by knowledge a citizen gains prior to participating. Political inactivity endangers the entire principle of democracy, as only the few who participate represent the ideas of the silent many. The solution to such a disconnect between what is represented as the views of the populace and the ideas of the silent majority lies in the very electronic devices that hold the attention span of the youth. A lack of easily accessible information on basic policies creates a lack of productive discourse and absence of permanent change, and an increase in hostile partisanship that exposes a far deeper issue: the obsolete fashion that crucial political data is presented to a different generation. A substantial number of the United States population is connected to the internet but have a startling lack of productive discourse on government. As of 2019, 1.45 billion people in the United States possess an active social media account, as reported by Retail Right International. Despite such a statistic, participation from well-connected voters has been anything but present. As Dulio reported, in 2011, trade and other business associations averaged about 1.6 billion mentions on Twitter per week, compared to the around 66.5 billion for public interest groups and the only 1.2 million for unions. This is a gap of at least 1.5 billion people within the United States. A cause for this chasm between political participation and the current data for involvement lies in a lack of education. As Boer Hogg stated, political cognition theory stresses that because humans act when action has meaning and makes sense to them, stimulating political participation by means of political education implies explaining to students what makes individual political participation worthwhile. Following this theory, youth are not informed on why people should vote, protest, or petition, so it fails to develop a meaningful fashion to them. Without meaning, these people have an omission of practice. Thus, there is a lack of political activity or even discussion, which leads to the death of an individual's voice in their own affairs. Furthermore, social media platforms must market to an audience in order to maintain base to support their presence economically. To increase returns, technology corporations use algorithms to analyze the interests of individuals and expose them to the material that they predict they want to see. In an article by Campaign Middle East in 2015, Facebook's algorithms are based on a user's past behavior and promote or downgrade the content it delivers to consumers. A social media user becomes unlikely to see perspectives beyond their own, which causes them to believe that the majority shares their opinion. Without differing views on a topic, there is little reason to share thoughts or reasons for their belief with others, creating a silence on what could truly be a disputed topic within a community. When movements grounded on social media die out without a permanent solution, resolutions for the topic dissolve. For example, Occupy Wall Street was a movement that arose in 2011 protesting the widening income gap in New York. According to the Daily Intelligencer in 2019, the income gap has increased to become the largest in 50 years, with the Gini index increasing to 0.485, which is higher than the reported figure in 2017. The Gini index is not a report on economic poverty but economic inequality. This figure does not mean that Americans in the bottom tax bracket are becoming poorer, rather than as the wealthy gain more income, the lower brackets do not increase at the same rate. The Occupy Wall Street movement was meant to address this growing gap, but when the protest ended, as did a movement to stop such a change. Between 2011 to 2019, policies have not been enacted on a nationwide level to address the movement's purpose. Solutions such as earned income tax credit and income taxes were implemented prior to the movement but have not been conjoined with new policies. Government policy is crucial in enacting not only change but results. Policy and action create an altercation to a particular pattern, causing a different outcome for the people. Movements may be eased by social media, but causing a change that outlasts the trend of the movement appears to be a shortfall in the political participation of the people. Social media eases the expression of opinion. The post button available on each site publicizes even the most obscure of opinions. However, these statements of thought are rarely met with respect. The study from AdGully in 2019 states, when millions become analysts for a cause comes the backlash. Social media allows those with an internet connection to view the drives of others, but it does not protect them from the hostility that the words of others generate. Negative commentary can fall in an honest expression, which can lead to cyberbullying, social ostracism, and the further development of groupthink in polar groups. Further, increased ideological crash can lead to negative consequences such as violence. As reported by Cohen in 2016, Nigerian violence during general elections spiked in 2008 to 20 incidences per 625 fatalities due to party polarization. Violence caused by disagreement or fear of another political party triumphing over one's own becomes more frequent when the political sphere becomes more extreme in opposing values. Similar to Nigeria, the two main parties in the United States, Democrats and Republicans, agree on far less issues than they have in the past. Constantly split by topics such as gun rights, healthcare, abortion, and economic strata, these parties lack common meeting points. The removal of common ground causes a lack of connection between the two communicating parties, which makes it far easier to validate violence. If a person cannot relate to another, there's less of a link between the two, leaving less of a barrier to prevent harm to that person in the case of a disagreement. Several organizations have attempted to use technology to bridge the divide between the government and the populace to discuss. Forms of civil technology have emerged as modern solutions to the current strata. For instance, 4pl.com is a Twitter aggregator site that allows citizens to vote up or down on their politicians' actions and responses. This allows politicians to receive instant feedback from the American populace and for users to express their opinion. However, there are two major cons to this site. The first is that the site doesn't look professional. The second is that by using the like button, they only further enforce the lazy type of political participation. Yes or no, but no explanation as to why. Next is the Reno Open Meeting Project. It's a town hall that invites participants through phone calls. So each of the residents get their services faster through the website online. However, the technology can distract from the citizens' participation. Online voting allows citizens to cast their votes for different politicians through the web. This system isn't as secure as the paper and ballot that we currently use, and it also doesn't yield continued political participation due to several studies that they have committed. In the Estonian online elections in 2005, when they introduced the system, 18.5% of the population voted. However, 2 years later, in their second election, only 11% of the population voted, according to Stewart 2018. Despite that there's more ease with an online system, it actually declines political participation. iCitizen was a mobile application that allowed for direct communication between citizens and their politicians. However, this didn't become large in scale because local areas had to pay a fee in order to activate their services. This caused it to shut down in 2018. Currently, they're trying to revamp the system to allow nationwide coverage, but the progress of that is currently unknown. My solution for increasing political participation through social media is the Speak Initiative. It's a government website and mobile application that provides public forum for political discussion, offers a platform for information on politicians and policies, affords access to basic civics courses in partnership with the ERIC, delivers updates on elections and voting registration to citizens of the United States. This solution would be implemented under the Department of Commerce as both the agent of action and the enforcer of the proposition. This would also fall under the subcommittee in the Department of Commerce, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. Now, they will create another committee underneath them, the National Office of Technical and Political Relations, or NOTPR. So the funding for these services and equipment necessary to create, update, and maintain the NOTPR Commission of the Digital Communication Application will be derived from the budget available of the Department of Commerce in the 20 to 21 fiscal year. For more detailed information on the implementation and features of the Speak Initiative, please consult the solution section of my paper. Due to my research, I still wonder, what are the risks of the ease of creating social media accounts? Does this ease make social media a negative influence? And where is the ethical boundary to cease social media use? This makes me wonder, should my solution be a form of social media? And if it is created by login, how can I make this more secure? In addition, how much political participation is good for democracy? If the silent majority doesn't align with the greater interests of the nation, is it still a proper action? Further, how should political participation be increased in a widespread but lasting fashion that yields results? This causes me to wonder, would my solution follow in the footsteps of iCitizen if it's not implemented nationally, or should it start at a smaller scale? These weaknesses raised by the unanswered questions demonstrate the ability of the digital application proposed to be improved. Given user input, functionality in the application interface could be extended in a feature and improved in layout to best suit the usage of the United States citizen. Increased funding could allow for an increase in servers to support more people at one time. With encounters of political campaigns, fact-checking on ads could be implemented along with clear profiles that directly state the stances and proposed policies of each candidate. Bills for Congress could be presented in an easily accessible docket with a feature to translate legal terminology into layman's terms for the average citizen. With time, equipment, and funding, more improvements could be made to uniquely fit the American populace of the time and the political events that occur. The Speak initiative to increase political participation does come with risks, but improvements to the solution could reduce the lack of political participation present in the status quo. If there are any additional questions on this presentation, I would be happy to respond to you at my email at fgabrielle1445@yahoo.com. For the full exposition of my paper, you can access the full version following this QR code. Thank you for your time and consideration.